There I am. Okay. I'm gonna let some time go by for everyone to get into the room. Once again, it's Fatimah, Coach Fatimah, 1/3 of Outstanding Personal Relationships and co-author of the new book, Let's Talk Polygyny Uncensored. Uncensored. And speaking of polygyny, make sure you pick up your polygamy roadmap at polygamyroadmap.com for more details. I'm going to be doing some little behind the scenes, checking on sound, visuals, audio, and all those things of that nature. So just bear with me as I do that, which is, I'm having some sinus trouble. So if you hear me sniffling and what do you call it, drinking some coffee, that's probably why. I'm going to allow for people to get in. Let me know where you all are tuning in from specifically, so I could shout you out within this live. Prayerfully, inshallah, God willing. Again, I'm going to be starting momentarily. I need to be checking and making sure I got the right cams going and all of that stuff. Bam. That looks like that's supposed to be it. Look, I'm not the best at this and I'm not the worst, but I'm getting used to it. Okay, if you have questions for me at the end of this specific live for Quintessential Queens, where I speak directly to wives and, of course, co-wives. I like to say just wives, and single ladies who might be interested in marriage or polygyny, where that is the practice of having more than one wife, not to be confused with having more than one spouse, which could be a man or a woman. So I'm going to start shortly. I think everything is good. It looks good. It looks good. And then just give me a thumbs up in the chat if you do hear me. You should be able to. Again, I'm not the best at this, but I'm learning. I'm learning. Okay. All right. Put these bad boys on. Boom. There she is. Okay. Just one more thing and off we go. We're going to get right into it. And just for people that are new, I'm looking at a laptop, I'm looking at a phone, I'm looking at a cup, and I'm looking at you all. Let's see. Just for people that are new, I'm going to do something really quickly. I'm going to get back to what I was going to say. Let's see. Okay, just bear with me, guys. Hold on. Checking some stuff out. Again, some of this is behind the scenes. You're going to see me do checking and cross-checking and making sure my family's not with me right now. But they are ever watchful. Let's see. Okay. Oh, okay. That is the intro for many of our things, but I'm going to start once again and get back to where I was. So, all righty. Sound like a piece. Once again, it's Fatimah, Coach Fatimah, 1/3 of Outstanding Personal Relationships and co-author of the new book, Let's Talk Polygyny Uncensored. I'm back with another installment of Quintessential Queens, where I speak specifically to wives, co-wives, and single sisters. Maybe you're divorced. Maybe you're looking for monogamy. Maybe you're looking for polygyny. And I'm here as, again, 1/3 of Outstanding Personal Relationships, where we just have these discussions weekly and just open up an opportunity for everyone to prayerfully get some clarity about polygyny. And this week, I will be addressing why are our men marrying again? Just the English language is something that's out our. I'm telling y'all, it's just not a rich language. Anywho, let's really get right into it. Again, for those of you that might be new, just for the sake of timeline and things of that nature, I don't really like to go, I'm the initial wife of Coach Nyla. I'm one of his 2 wives. For timeline's sake, or again, for people that might not know me very well, or OPR, or our family, our team, which consists of Coach Nazir, my awesome co-wife, Coach Nyla, and myself. We've been in polygyny for 12 years. He practices polygyny specifically. We are monogamously married to the same man. So I wanted to just give that clarification, because people just don't know. They don't know, and that's fine. They don't. That's why we're here, so we can give some clarity to some different things, but absolutely our story. So, disclaimer, please, everyone, do not compare our year 12 with your first year, second year, 7th year. It's not, polygyny is not easy always. It's not fun where you're like, oh, yay, every day is fun. You're going to be met with challenges because it's life. And part of some of our lives is marriage. So I'm not going to give this false representation that, it's always just, it didn't start off this way for us. I mean, polygyny, again, is happening to everyone, ourselves, our husbands, our co-wives, our children, absolutely. So I don't want to diminish that fact, because that's a fact. And it's happening in a number of different ways, as we all are living different lives. And everybody has their own story. I'll say it more than once, because it needs to be said and emphasized that just because somebody else's story is not our own doesn't mean it doesn't matter. It doesn't mean it's not important. And they have their own journey. And it might not look like our specific journey, because everybody's journey is customized to their own self. So I don't like to go, well, that doesn't sound like what I went through. So bump that. I'm not dealing with my co-wife story. I don't want to hear what my husband's going through. It doesn't matter, because I'm in pain. I'm the one that's traumatized, not them. That's not true, because a man that practices polygyny can't be happy when he's seeing his more than one household crumble emotionally, mentally, physically. Sometimes when we go through hurt and pain, it gets in our bodies. It can become part of our physiology. So to witness somebody, you love them deeply, and it's not this passive feeling that you have for them, and these lukewarm feelings for them. It hurts you too when you see them not feel well, or you see them in pain. And to just think for just a moment that you might have been the cause of it is not easy on a lot of the men. Now, there are some, from what I've been told, that would be like, look, I got married again. You're doing too much. Get over it. But, and I've not met the vast majority of men, and I won't understand their world as they understand it, because I'm not a man. I'm not living these individual lives. I don't understand the world my own husband is in, because that is his world. I see parts of it. I can kind of understand a little bit of it, but to fully embody everything, no, that's not likely going to happen. However, I would like to get understanding from the perspective of him as a man that practices polygyny and other men. So I don't just go off into the world and say, look, I'm going to have this tunnel vision. I'm only listening to the women, the sisters. I'm only addressing them. Forget the men. That's it. I don't come on lives. We don't come on lives as a team, as a family, to bash husbands and men. I think some people, specifically wives, will go, you're not saying what I want to hear, so I'm out. That may be true, but might not say what you want to hear, but I might say what you need to hear. And somebody had to tell me that, if I love you, if I care about you as my sister, I'm not going to just feed you in your ego and tell you what you need to hear. And Coach Nyla is not just going to feed the man's ego. My co-wife is not going to just feed the wife's ego. She's not going to do that. But we're not going to also ignore the fact that, there are abuses happening. There are men that just marry women and just do it and just divorce, marry, divorce, marry, divorce. And we do address that too. So we know there's some things that are going on that are abusive. And some people do abuse polygyny and their role as husband. We never said they didn't. We would be foolish to say that. And we know better. We know that we've coached some and counseled some. And I want to give another disclaimer. I'm not a therapist. Our family we don't practice therapy. We practice coaching and counseling. We take deep dive. We go into deep dive trainings about polygyny, marriage, personal development, relationships. We do. So that needs to be said, because some people just might think that we're therapists, and we're just not. I just want to make that clear, just in case some people might think we are. But if you feel as though you need one, just reach out to the proper channels for that. But for coaching, counseling, training, having discussions, and speaking of which, make sure you join our OPR community at oprcommunity.com. And we have private conversations. You can direct message us or message us within that community of like-minded people who want to talk about polygyny and not get into this thing where we're dealing with trolls. It's a troll-free zone. We don't tolerate hatred within our community. We don't do any of that. We want to really be a support for everyone that is in polygyny or thinking about polygyny, or again, is single, divorced, whatever the case may be. We really want to create a space where we don't have to worry about the noise of people that just want to get in there and be disruptive, distractive, and just really evil with some of their comments, because we're trying to talk to each other. The people that want to talk to each other, want to listen to each other, that happens there without being met with all this horrendous judgment, because it's out there. Again, some people just don't like the fact that the idea of two women sharing a husband, although they're monogamously married to him. Now, just with those things out of the way, they're important, and I needed to say them. So let's get into this Quintessential Queens Live. Why are our men marrying again? And one thing I want to really get into is this part I like to call coming to terms. Now, we can come to terms with a lot of things. We can come to terms with the fact that our husbands want to marry again. We can come to the terms, the fact that what if we end up liking our co-wife? What if we end up loving her, not being in love, but having a sisterly love for her? What if she ends up being our friends? What if they have children? What if? Coming to terms also means understanding terminology. So what I had to think about it, I said, what is the difference between want and desire? What is it? Because doesn't it kind of sound the same? So I want to get into that very quickly. Want is a simple desire. I might want a new car. I might want a new bag. I might want a new book. I might want a vacation. I might want something specific for dinner, whatever the case may be. It's a simple desire. Now, the word desire is an intense craving for something or someone. That's what it is. It's like the actual definition. And I said, okay, what else have I understood men to have an intense craving for? Now, one thing I thought about is stability, all the stabilities, financial, emotional, spiritual stability. They might have a very intense desire to be very solid on their feet as men, as kings, and go, okay, I need everything to be kind of scheduled out. I need to know what's going on. I need to work hard. I need to work with my hands. I need to protect. I need to provide. And there's a very strong desire to do so. And what propels them, it could be different things among different men, right? And then I said, okay, what's the desire when it comes to multiple wives or, you know, in some cases, because I had a grandfather and a father that had many women in their lives, in and out, in and out. And I was like, oh my God, what is wrong with the two of them? It just was not moral. It was an immoral, it was an adulterous situation. It was a girlfriend situation. We talk about pro morals here. That's why I say marriage. Now, I noticed that in between the two of them that they both were kind of that way. And I said, well, maybe he's just watching his father. Maybe that's what it is. He's just, my dad's watching my grandpa. And that's why he acts the way he does. Nah. Maybe with some of his movements, but I said, okay, what if he didn't have his father in his life, his whole entire life? Then what? Would he still be like that? Yeah, maybe. Likely knowing my dad, probably. Nothing would stop him. He loved women, but he loved women, and the way he practiced it, again, was immoral. Now, with that being said, then I started looking at my brothers, and I started looking at my uncles, and I started going, okay. I started seeing this pattern. But once I became Muslim, then I noticed, okay, this is allowed for the men that are Muslim. For those of you that are, for those of you that are not, I'm just speaking to that specific point that I learned about when I was learning about Islam early on. I said, well, they're allowed to marry more than one wife. And I sat with women that were like, yeah, but a lot of them don't do it. And you ain't got to worry about that. Just did it. You know, they were kind of very passive about it or very angry. Or some were like, yeah, it is allowed. Yeah. Okay. So what? So I was met with different kind of energy depending on where people are in their religious journey. I don't know, but I do know there was a lot of difference of their own personal opinion on the fact that Muslim men can marry up to 4 wives. So then I said, okay, what do men desire to do? And I said, men, if there's an injustice, desire very intensely to protect their family. There's an intensity. So I learned over the years, I said, okay, I need to make sure if something's going on and it's not that deep, I don't need to alert my husband to it, because in my mind, I said, well, he's for big stuff. I used to say that all the time. So I don't need to activate him or alert him to certain things, because I know if I do it in a specific way and he feels like someone threatened me or threatened his household or threatened him, whatever the case may be, then they're going to get a certain response. Not this wild rage, none of that. No, because he's pretty in control of that. He doesn't have this thing where he just come flying off the handle. He looks at everything around that specific issue and addresses it. Now, the way he addresses it, that's his business. But I knew that I can't communicate to him in a certain way if I felt there was an injustice against me, and go, oh my God, this guy, and he, and da, 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 because that's going to get a certain response. Because there's an intense desire to want to protect the family, to want to protect your wife, your wives, your children. So you better be sure that whatever communication you have with a grown man, that you're thinking about his safety, the safety of others, all those things like that. Because when they become angry, then they have these different options in their mind. And so maybe we don't even think of that stuff. Maybe we don't even think of that stuff. I mean, as women, I've thought about how I would react to specific things. And then he'll react a completely different way that I didn't even think about. you know. So then I had to learn as a young wife, okay, you don't run in the house and yell fire and not expect him to go put the blaze out in the way in which he decides to do it. Because once he decides to do it a specific way, ain't no stopping him. The only person that can stop him is himself. So I can get in the middle and go, no, wait. He has to decide that he's going to do that, because I could do all this I want to. But if he decides that the threat is major enough, hey, it is what it is. And I had to learn that. And I wasn't the one to just come home screaming, somebody hit me. I wasn't going to do that, because I've been on him since he was 14. And I said, but as a husband, no. And I also didn't rob him of the ability to protect himself, me, the family. Look, he had to handle his business if he had to. I'm like, if I need to alert him to something, I am, but I'm very careful about the way in which I do it, because I know he has a certain intensity. I remember someone told me, they were like, how do you deal with him being, he's kind of intense. And I said, men, husbands, they can be. He's got to make sure we're good. He's not walking around mad with the mad face and all this stuff, but I'm checking my surroundings when I'm in certain public environments, private, indoor, whatever. I'm watching. I got to make sure everybody's good. I have to. They're a trust to me, and I take it seriously. So I said, well, this was specific woman. I said, she just, maybe she hasn't been around a lot of men in her life, especially Black men. And I'm going to say that because I'm married to a Black man and I'm a Black woman. So in America, you got to kind of, in anywhere really, but specifically in America, you can't just let your guard down and be walking around all head in the clouds and being unaware of your surroundings. You must. You never know what anything's going to break out. Anything can jump off. So I had to understand, okay, if they're intense about that, then what else might they be intense about, and what else might they desire? And that is multiple wives. And I said, well, what are some of the reasons? Now, I remember 2 specific celebrities spoke on wives and wanted to be surrounded by women. A music mogul, entrepreneur, director, producer named Dash. I don't agree with everything he says. Of course I don't. But he said something. He said, I married the wife that I have. His wife is Puerto Rican, and I forget what else, but I believe she's Puerto Rican. And he said, people were like, well, why did you? She's not Aaliyah, the late Aaliyah. She's not her. She's not Aaliyah. So it's like, okay, why her? She's not like this big celebrity. And he said, because she doesn't mind me speaking about Aaliyah. She doesn't mind other women being around me, meaning different artists, different people I'm working with that are female. And he said, I feel safer with a lot of women around me. What's wrong with it? And she didn't see the problem in it. And I said, that's really interesting, because that's not typical. So, Prince, musician, musical genius, all those things, he said something similar. They said, why do you like female bands? Why do you want your whole band to be female? What's up with that? He said, because I don't have to be met with so much ego, and I don't have to deal with like a ton of men and having to explain why I'm doing specific things I'm doing. And I like the company of women. We know that because we were looking at his track record, and he admitted it. He was like, I feel good with women around me more than one. That's not. So just aesthetically. So I said, okay, what do we love as women about women? What do we love about us? What do we love about ourselves? Whether we cook a good meal, we're beautiful, we read books, we bring forth life. I think the most beautiful, not all the whole time, but was when I was carrying a child. Those are the times I felt most beautiful, when I'm producing sustenance for my baby and feeding my baby, either from my body or my plate. Those are the times when I felt the most beautiful. Bringing forth life, the most beautiful. It's one of the most beautiful, humbling experiences, and painful, that I've ever been through, is bringing forth 7 lives. So I said, what are the things? that we love as women about being women. And then we'll go, well, I don't know why, I don't know why he wants another wife. Why? Because he sees some of the same beautiful attributes that we see in women as women, but they see it as a man. So there's an intensity. They're not out here. I'm not talking about being wild and out of control and just looking at everyone, whatever. I've seen men hold their wives' hands. And if it is even just a glance, and they'll just keep walking. Oh, what do you look at her for? For what? Look at your wife, bro. Well, look at her because she's good looking. And then he kept, whether it was for a split second, there was some attention there. And some will just gawk and stare, and some will just look and just dart their eyes a different way because I can't look at you too long, see you too attractive. I can't look at you too long. Women are beautiful inside and out. So I get why we sit up and compliment. Women compliment each other all the time. Oh, look at her. She's snatched. All of that stuff. And then I go, well, what's the difference between men thinking that and acting upon that? Although you can't just bring your parts and your looks to a marriage, you have to have more substance than that. It has to be more substantial than that, right? So there was an article, if you go to askmen.com, I'm not sure what year it was, but this one New York-based dating coach was asked, why do men desire more than one wife? And he said, not more than one wife. How can they fall in love with more than one woman? They can. We love people at the same time all the time. And he said, you can absolutely fall in love with two people at the same time. Walt Whitman was right. This is the guy I was talking to. You can contain multitudes of loves. Someone might bring you confidence, a sexy side, and you'll love them for it. A second person might make you feel safe, loved, and deeply connected. You also fall for that person. Suddenly your brain is cranking out dopamine for both of them because they make you feel special and loved in different ways. A friend of mine, I asked her about, we were talking about her children. She's got 6, and at the time, my children are varying different ages. And we both had multiple children. And she said, my children fulfill me in different ways. I love them for different reasons, although I love them at the same time. I said, okay, so why do we stop our husbands from loving at the same time and say, you can't love me if you love her. You cannot. That's impossible. No, it is absolutely possible. And it has happened more than a little bit. It just has. And men do practice polygyny, and some don't. They just feral and do whatever they want to do. But the ones that desire more than one woman absolutely will go, okay, I love her for these ways, for these reasons, and I love you for these reasons. This is in his head because, the husband shouldn't be saying, I love your co-wife because she, blah, 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 blah. And he shouldn't be telling her, I love her because she, I know you don't do that though, but she does. And I love it. That's not, it's not really, I wouldn't advise a brother to do that. But I thought this was interesting. And I said, Ask Men it was an awesome article because the men are speaking about their experiences without this certain interruption or certain noise or certain unsolicited advice. And I said, yeah, that makes sense. There's different ways. Just like a husband who's married to more than one wife, she could look at him and say, well, he fulfills me in this way. And his other wife can say, he fulfills me in this way. This is what I get from him. And it become two completely different things. And that's okay. So again, their journey doesn't have to be our journey, but it does matter. So we have, I think as women, we have different psychological and emotional attachments to our husbands when we love them. It hits us differently than it does for them. And there was a quote on Ask Men, and one of the guys said, being in a relationship with someone else doesn't make you exempt from feeling something for another person, unplanned or otherwise. I said, boom. He said, unplanned or otherwise. And he was telling the truth, that he knew that the truth as he knew it through his specific experience. And I said, okay, I'm willing to hear that, because that's how he feels. And no amount of me going, I don't want you to feel that way, is going to stop that. What it'll stop is communication. Usually it'll stop communication. So knowing that, I said, okay, there's a certain amount of control that we don't have. We might think we kind of have it. We don't have it because, again, even if we go, well, I don't like this and I don't want you to say this, and he might decide not to say it around you, but he's still up there. He might decide to say, okay, I won't say that around her. I'm deciding I will not say that around her because it is upsetting to her and I don't want to upset my wife. But he is indeed making a decision to do that, to follow through with whatever request there is. But he also must weigh out whether or not he's allowed to do certain things and it doesn't hurt one wife to the other. It's king talk. It's king behavior. He must. I mean, he doesn't have to be successful in polygyny. He doesn't have to be. It can crash and burn. But if he's intentional about learning and becoming more, like Coach Nazir says, he'll go, okay, I need to measure certain things and I can't just do what you want me to do. No, that's not going to work. That's not effective. I mean, especially if it's hurtful to someone else. So he might, not entertain certain things, but he's making the decision to do or not to do. My job is not to sit up and try to control somebody else's marriage. I don't have that. I don't want that. That's not my business. So but understanding why, or what is the logic? See, I get the certain amounts of emotion, but the logic behind a man marrying again, why? He could just say, because I want to. He can say less if he wants to. But let's be mature in this moment and go, okay, well, why? Why are so many of our men marrying again? What is going on? What is going on is that women are beautiful and they have an intensity within them to want to protect more people, more wives, more children, have more children, and grow his tribe. Now that might be other reasons. I'm sure there's other reasons. But specifically, I get why men want to marry more than one woman. I understand it. Before, I'm like, what the heck? As a 20-year-old wife, I'm like, no, that's canceled. Before they canceled stuff, I was like, no, I don't want to do that. But I was young and I was new to Islam and I didn't know so much, and I saw two men in my life fail. It was cataclysmic. So going through it twice with the two men I loved first, my grandfather who raised me and my father through biology. Those are the two that started this whole thing off. To watch them fail was traumatizing to me. So I did not desire, and it meant if you love more than one woman, that's a failure. So we're not doing none of that. Is what I entered marriage into. And my grandmother said, he's not, he's 19. He's not going to always want to be just with you. She didn't say in Islam, she didn't say he's going to cheat on you. She didn't put a tail on it. And my grandmother always put some little shade on the end of what she said, but she was right. She was right on a lot of stuff. Her delivery was, my grandmother was something else. She's still alive, but she has dementia now. And I think it's not easy to have that knowledge or to witness it. However, I think it's a mercy that she doesn't remember every aspect of everything I went through in my entire life. I just think she's been free of it for years now. But the funny thing is, and Coach Nadir knows this, and I think I told my co-wife, in the way I was hollering, I went to visit her, And my grandmother asked me where was the white man with the beard and the 10 kids. And I was like, sis, she didn't know who I was. She didn't know who I was, but she was, because he's light skinned. She said, look, white to me, where's he at? I was like, child, how much time you got? But it was hilarious. I'm like, this is how this stuff works. But I said he had such an impact. I think she went in and out of remembering everyone, but she specifically remembered. She has not forgotten him yet. Maybe that's because she fussed a lot. She didn't like Islam. She didn't like polygyny. She said that's the one issue I have. And I'm like, Grandma, you don't even want to get married. You ain't even got to deal with polygyny. So she was like, I don't care. So she was hilarious though, but she liked to kind of keep her opinion out there. But she said that to me. She said, and it was hard to hear. I mean, I had just gotten married and it was like, dang, I got to deal with this drama already. I'm trying to be a whole queen around this part and be the total package. I remember my mom was like, yeah, but I thought you were the total package. And, and I'm going, look, listen, I said I am in my marriage. And so is he. I mean, that's just, I have to look at it that way. Because what I'm not going to do is diminish myself because he married again. I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. And I had to remind myself. Everybody had to remind me. He had to remind me, like, I did all the firsts with him. First marriage, first child, first daughter, first son, first love, first, all kinds of firsts. So a lot of knowing that our husbands marry again is understanding. I don't care if you're initial or subsequent. Celebrate what's beautiful about what you provide, what he provides within your respective marriages. Because if we don't respect our marriages, who will? Who are we going to wait on to do it? And I said, no, I'm going to do that work because that's going to be one of my attributes, is being respectful of the establishment of this specific marriage 27 years ago. And I'm not going to try to sit up here and dim the light of his subsequent marriage or marriages, because time will tell the tale. So I don't know if he'll marry again, but it's not my job to sit up here and go, well, this one counts, that one no. I don't want that attribute at all. I find it unattractive. I understand why it is said, because many people don't know the difference between legal and lawful. So, and I think about Christian vows. They don't say you are legally married, you may kiss the bride. You're lawfully man and wife. Whoop de whoop. I'm just saying. Yeah, I didn't write the script. I just repeated it. So the sum total of this live, and I'm going to do a short Q&A momentarily, is that getting down to the facts of the matter of why our men are marrying again. It's because I'm telling you, women make marriage look so good. They make it look good. I'm not talking about, because we know there's toxic relationships, there's physical, mental abuse, there's narcissistic pathologies, there's narcissism, there's narcissistic behavior. There's some people need their heads to get checked, and I'm serious. Some people are dealing with CTEs where they have hit their head so hard that it changes their behavior, their personality, and they deal with rage issues. There's so much of that stuff going on, and it's not just the men. It is happening with the women as well. So the spouse becomes the recipient of it, and it's not easy. And some people need to make the ultimate decision and divorce. I get that. There's marriage allowed, and there's also a solution of divorce. So, and that's not an easy decision. You just throw out, oh yeah, I'm getting divorced. And we don't need to be playing around with it, throwing it out there, but it's just, it's sometimes it's a trauma response, or sometimes people are just saying something else to be mean to hurt the other person, mean and manipulative. And it just speaks to your own character. It doesn't speak to the character of the other person when you say, well, I'll just divorce you then. Yeah. Do you know what divorce looks like? And I've seen it twice in my own childhood twice. My grandpa and my grandmother got divorced, and then my father divorced his first wife, who was, I don't know, 20 years older than him. And the marriage lasted 3 months. That was it. I got attached to her. I was a child. I had a stepsister, bonus sister. Had to say bye to all of them. And it wasn't easy. But nobody asked me my opinion. It just happened. So what I'm not going to do is go, okay, now look, divorce your husband if he marries again. No, I'm not going to. People want me to say that. They want the OPR, the team to say that. They want our husband to say that. They want my co-wife to say it. We're not going to tell you you need to get divorced. That is a very intimate decision, but we're going to tell you what a positive and a successful and outstanding marriage looks like, and some of the best practices for best results. And we're going to throw some story time in there. We're going to tell you our challenges and our triumphs and what worked and what did not work. And one of the things that does not work is just wishing and meeting our husbands with this, I don't get why you want another wife and you don't love me and you are not allowed to. Don't raise him, work with him. Can't raise him. Can't raise him. He's grown. It's done. It's a wrap. So suggesting, voicing our concerns, maybe giving an opinion here and there, but to try to force something out of someone's heart and out of the makeup of who they are. Now, all men don't want to practice polygyny. They don't have to practice polygyny. Some are not qualified to even speak it. They're just not. So I'm not saying polygyny is for everybody, because remember, we're pro morals. That's monogamy and polygyny. So we're not throwing monogamy out the window at all. So with that, let me just check a couple things, guys, really quickly. But if you have any questions, again, put a question mark in front of your question. I will answer your question here live. Let me see. But yeah, I wanted to talk about this because it's not an easy conversation to have when we're wives and we're going, oh, why now? Why do you want to do this? And I said, whoo. I said, look how awesome women are. Look how amazing we are. Look at all the beautiful attributes we have. And we like to joke a lot, but we like to be serious when it's time too. And I'm very serious when I say we as women can make marriage look so beautiful, and make life look so beautiful and be such an awesome experience that it's difficult for a man that is heterosexual and very attracted to women, not the man that's out here praying and licking his chops, but the one that finds women attractive anyway before he ever got married to anyone. And then he sees his wife and he has this intense love for her and desire for her and all that she provides him with. He can have more room in his heart to marry again, because it's beautiful. But what if there's a beauty in another way? Somebody asked me on, what is that? Make sure you guys are telling me where you're from, because I would like to know where you all are from, and make sure that if you do want to call in, to OPR community, please do so. Please do so. We're going to be putting some things up so that you can see them as well. And look at the bottom of the screen. You'll get some little prompts there, guys, so you can see that you want to get your polygamy roadmap at polygamyroadmap.com. Okay. All right. I don't know if it's Sarah or Sada, but please let me know. Alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. You're so welcome. What is SG? Because my brain isn't working right now. Question. Again, guys, I'm glad you put question there. Thank you for that. I'm going to Show your question, Kay's World. Question. What what important questions should we ask when a man wants you as a second wife? Um, Coach Nazir has spoken about before vetting. I think Coach Nyla has as well, especially if he's Muslim. I remember this one time, and this was awesome. I remember this one Singapore. Yay! I would have never guessed. I'm like, what is SG? Thank you for that. Thank you for tuning in, guys. I remember he asked this brother that wanted to marry one of our daughters, and this was a while ago, y'all. This was not recent. He asked him a simple question. He asked him what time did he pray Fajr, and I went, oh, and I'm like, well, he couldn't answer. Brilliant. I wouldn't have come up with that. I wouldn't have come up with that. It was something so simple, but such a beautiful question because it's important. Because if you don't know what time you prayed, if you did, well, then that's letting me know a lot about you. We don't need to further have the conversation. I think it was 10 minutes and he was out the door. His uncle, his mama, they were gone. I said, well, that's it. Because you're not fitting a certain criteria. One thing that I know full well is the relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. What does that look like? Are there any vices? How many children does he have? What are his goals? What is the vision? Your guardian should be, your wakil should be vetting for you. I did not have one in the sense that through biology. So my father and my grandfather were not interested in being at my wedding, and I knew that. So I was like, okay, I didn't really invite y'all because I know you two don't like that I became Muslim, so I won't cry. And a brother, an imam in our community, he stepped up and he was there. And then my dad and my grandpa felt the way. Well, look, it is what it is. I have to deal with who's going to look out for me and my husband in this moment as we get married, not somebody that's sitting there with venom. So I had to kind of move around them. And the brother that officiated our marriage, he asked specific questions. They got answered. I knew who I was dealing with, alhamdulillah, and it worked out fine. But a dear friend of mine, she's trying to get married, and she was like, I want to ask Coach Nazir, can he kind of help with this contract thing? And he did. And he was like, okay, if he has issue with different vices or whatever the case, let's say, for example, it might be cigarettes. Well, I give myself a year. Well, Coach Nazir was saying, he was like, look, what if he stops trying to smoke at month 11? No, bro, you ain't, no, we need to revisit that. So he actually thought about things as a man to help her in her contract. And she actually put those things in her contract. This is a friend of mine, 20 plus years. And she was like, oh no, that's brilliant. I wouldn't have never come up with that. So and I think Coach Nyla might have a video. Sister, check out YouTube. She's sharing some really serious gems about what she looked for, how it went, and all these different things. And it was pretty powerful stuff. So please feel free to check out our YouTube channel, The Outstanding Personal Relationships. I know you're probably on there now, but you know it's here. But keep that in your mind and refer to those videos because she has some really great tips. I think Coach Nazir does have some things as well. I just recently watched one of his videos. I mean, we watch our stuff, but yeah, talking about intentions, goals, children. You want children? What does it look like? Like what sharing those things, but sharing them in the proper way that's allowed in Islam is the best. Okay, I have a friend who asks how to deal with the first nights alone and the first kids from the co-wife. Again, sis, great question. Awesome. Thank you so much. These are good questions you're asking, sis. Again, my co-wife has a video about her bonding with my children, her bonus babies. And what we kind of do is make sure that everybody knows they're important in this family. And one of the main things that she told my grown daughters was that I'm not in no way, shape, or form trying to replace your mother. Just kind of here in a supportive role. So if you guys want to talk to me, I'm here. She didn't make it all about Coach Nazir, and that helped a great deal because some people just go, look, those are his children. I don't know what to tell you. I didn't marry the children, and they didn't. But creating a relationship with young adults and little ones is good, especially if we can kind of have a good relationship with our co-wife, meaning you can be cordial. I'm not saying shove each other down each other's throat and be best friends and stuff like that. I'm not saying that. Because that didn't happen overnight for Coach Nyla and I. And I don't assume it would happen overnight for any co-wife. If it does, hey, I'm serious. Shout out to you all if that happens overnight. But dealing with people and getting to know people as people and co-wives and maybe friends and creating a sisterhood doesn't typically happen overnight. It's not an impossibility, but dealing with loneliness, what I did for myself is I had a whole personal development night, movie night, self-care night. I was doing facials. I was hooking my hair up. I was painting my nails when I needed to. I was taking baths. I was watching movies with my children and bonding with them, talking to my friends, hanging out, going out of town with my aunts, my daughters, kicking it when he was not there. And then when I really started to get in the groove of things, I was so booked and busy when he was gone. And then when I wasn't booked and busy when he was gone, I was asleep. I was taking care of my beauty sleep. So filling in the void, because remember something, our husbands don't have access to, they have access to us, but they can't see us every time they want to see us either. So he had to be without me too. We had to get used to that. We weren't used to that. However, it's not where you go, yeah, he's not like, oh God, I'm with my other wife now. I wish I was with the other one. No, it's not that, because then that would diminish your co-wife. And they're allowed to have their time together. However, he had to get used to the schedule too. Our husbands are getting used to not being in the house they've been used to all this time. So there's an adjustment in many different ways. Our co-wives are getting used to our husbands being in the house, and an adjustment on that end. So making sure that you have a schedule set for you, taking care of you. And I take care of me when he's here. When he's not here, I take care of me 24/7. And I make time to take care of our family, my husband, my marriage, my children, my co-wife. I have to have time where I'm checking in on everybody. I make sure everybody's okay without dragging myself and destroying who I am. And I'm not going to destroy the love I have for me in order to make sure this love over here is great. Yeah, no, I'm going to do it all. I'm going to be juggling, the balls, but I'm going to make sure it's not out of control. I want to get under it. And I don't want it to hit me in the face and blindside me, because sometimes we blindside ourselves. So, okay, that's such a great question. But yeah, make sure you have time for you, your children, if you have any, your loved ones, if you have any. Do personal development, read, make sure you do that. Okay, just 1 second, guys. If you guys want to ask me something live, we can share the link. Because look, this is a live call in live. So you guys can call in. So let me know in the chat if you want me to share the link, and I can do that on my end. Again, I have a laptop in front of me as well. So I can do that. A common question that we do get is, what do men need in order to practice polygyny? You might need a number of things. I like learning from the different coaches for OPR, mainly the two outside of myself, and learning to be more like Coach Nazir was stating is important. There's different levels of learning to be more, of course. It's getting up your communication skills so that you can effectively communicate with more than one wife. It's also understanding that you're going to change and evolve. One thing about love is love evolves. So the way you love year one in marriage may evolve because you're evolving. We're constantly evolving. So it's important to state that, um, and understand that I'm not married to a 19-year-old anymore. That 19-year-old has some similar attributes to the husband I have now. And he has some similar attributes to the 19-year-old of them, but he's so different personal development wise, information, a lot of his movements have become different because they had to be. So we're like evolving and adapting and becoming more. All of us are becoming more, but the men have to become more in different ways. So make sure, let's see. Okay. Make sure we're understanding that we're living polygyny in different ways from our husbands. We just are. We just are. So when I got to the point where I accepted that fact, that is a fact that it's different, because I'm not a husband in polygyny. I am a wife in polygyny. And those roads that we walk are completely different. I don't, people like to make these comparisons between wives, and it's just, don't do that. Don't sign up for that class, because we're just different in different ways. Why do we become, maybe I'll do a live about that next time, but there's this kind of unspoken competition that can happen, that society can set women up for, where, this other woman is here, I must compete with her. No, you compete with who you need to be, and what you need to do that's better. Compete with that, because once you get done doing that and becoming more for yourself and prayerfully within your marriage and seeing where you need work, you don't have time to dare think that you're going to sit up and create a competition with another human being, your husband, your co-wife, your children. There's so much stuff that's going on here that I need to work on. I can't get over there and be in a competition. Just focus on who I need to become. So with that being said, I hope you guys got some gems from this live. I did want to give you all the opportunity to answer or ask some questions. Absolutely. Make sure that you pick up your polygamy roadmap at polygamyroadmap.com and join our private community by visiting, for details, oprcommunity.com, because that's where we can join in together with like-minded people to have these discussions. Because sometimes when we do it online, where it's on Facebook and for all eyes to see, then we get this background noise from these trolls and these people that just want to create disturbances within our conversation so that we can't focus and talk to each other. One thing I love about communication is that I like talking to people that want to talk to me. I don't like making time for people that want to be disruptive in any way, shape, or form. So I just typically just lead a chat when it comes to that. And if I need to talk to them and get them together, then I'll do that too and get clarification, because some people just don't know, and they might even come off with a certain energy that they didn't even think they had, so we get that too. So with that being said, everyone, thank you all again for spending time with me, coming into the live. I really appreciate it. The OPR team appreciates it. I want to be back next week at our normal time, which is on Thursdays for me. I don't know. I'm getting the sniffles for some reason. It's something going around, but I got some sinus stuff happening. So forgive my sniffles within this live. So again, pick up your polygamy roadmap at polygamyroadmap.com. Join our private community at oprcommunity.com. Make sure you guys comment in the chat, like, subscribe, talk amongst each other. Maybe, this will be a very peaceful conversation within the chat. Hit the notification bell for those of you that are viewing this from YouTube, because you want to be notified every time we upload on our channel, because we take these discussions and put a voice behind a lot of the issues in monogamy, polygamy, and relationships, period. And we talk heavily about communication as well. So don't just watch my videos. Don't just watch Coach Nazir's videos or Coach Nyla's videos. Everybody watch the videos, because you never know. Because if we're watching the videos from Coach Nazir, we're getting a window into some really great information about what's going on in the mind of the men. And that's really important to get that perspective, because then once we see what's going on, we can understand more. And make sure you are watching Coach Nyla's videos as well. If you're not a subsequent wife, if you're an initial wife, watch them. I'm not going to be like, you know what, this is teams. Initial wives watch my videos, subsequent wives go over hers. No, please cross-check them. Look at all of the information. There is an abundance of a wealth of knowledge on YouTube for you guys. So a lot of the questions you might have, we answered them for you. So we made it easy. All right. I'm going to wrap up this live. Again, I'm going to leave you guys with a little GLC. Make sure that you are growing intentionally, loving fearlessly, and connecting on a higher level every single day. I'm Coach Fatimah. We'll see you all in the next one. Assalamu alaikum. Peace.